I want to quickly move to Dr. Nalaka Godahewa now, a member of parliament. Senthil brought in a very important point. He said that Ranil Wickremesinghe is not even responsible for 1% of what has happened in the country in terms of the country's economy. I want you to, if you want to respond to that, you can start responding to that and then continue with your statement about presidential and general election.
I totally disagree. Pardon me. I would say he's 100% responsible for that. Let me explain why. In 2015, when Yahapalna government came to power, it was Ranil Wickremesinghe who was controlling the city, not President Sirisena, that we all know. So economy was in his hands. I was, in fact, at that election, I supported President Mahinda Rajapaksa. I was not a politician at that time. But after the government elected, I was happy in a way. People have voiced their opinion. A new government has come to power. Things are stable. That the new government could have continued and could have grown the economy better. But what did they do? As soon as they came to power, what did Ranil Wickremesinghe do? He stopped all major projects in the country. He stopped Port City, he stopped highway development, he stopped everything and started witch hunting. The investors ran away. So he couldn't continue from where he started. Instead of taking the baton and running, he started a witch hunting process, stopping all major projects, and within 1 year, the economy started collapsing. When he came to power, the growth rate was 5.5%. When he left 5 years later, the growth rate was 2.1%. The economy didn't grow. There was no terrorism, apart from the Easter Sunday attack which happened last minute. There was no terrorism issue. There was no other issue. There was no corona. Everything was in place, but he couldn't sustain. Then, if you look at the economic collapse that took place in 2022, who can say he was not responsible? Why did the economy collapse? Economy collapsed because we have a serious debt crisis. In the debt crisis, $40 billion of debt, out of which 12 billion sovereign bonds. Who issued these sovereign bonds? It was during Ranil Wickremesinghe's time. 12.5 billion sovereign bonds were issued, and of which 11.5 were remaining. They are still remaining. To date, we have not settled that. So if you are talking about debt crisis, the bigger component of the debt crisis is because of the way he managed. So I would say he's very much responsible. Now today he's talking about developing the port sector. Who went and sold the Hambantota port, right? Now he says now we need to develop the port sector, attract investors there. We have given it for 99 years. And what did we get? They say we spent 1.75 billion. Let's assume there was corruption or whatever. The actual cost was 1 billion. So we got 1 billion, but the debt was never paid. The interest rate at that time was 3%. Why did you have to go and lease out that port for a 3% debt? And he sold that and he borrowed that almost 8%. So I would say he's very much responsible for the economic crisis.
Right. Dr. Godahewa, now you seem to be at SJB meetings a lot now. We saw your photographs when the IMF representatives met the SJB as well. In the event the SJB wins an election next, they also say that you are going to be the Minister of Finance. True? False?
We all know the cabinet is decided by the president, whoever becomes the president. And
so let's say hypothetically Sajid Premadasa becomes the president?
Let's assume Sajid Premadasa becomes the president. He will select his cabinet. In fact, he has already mentioned who is going to be his finance minister. He has mentioned Dr. Harshadi Silla's name on several occasions. And I have no such aspiration. In fact, I am one person who gave up a cabinet position and resigned during RRL. I'm the only person. I was appointed as the cabinet of mass media, and the following day I gave resignation. And I said, take my cabinet position back.
Right?
Yeah.
It was not accepted by Gotabaya.
It was not accepted. Let me explain. I said, why did I resign? I said, take my position and give it to somebody in the opposition and form a multi-party government. So that is what I thought. I was never looking for positions. Even today, I'm not looking for position. My resignation was not accepted by President then. He requested me to stay on for 2 weeks until he dissolved the entire cabinet and reappoint multi-party cabinet.
What's the aspiration, Dr. Godahewa?
I never came into politics because I wanted. I was forced into. In fact, when I contested Gampa...
So this is going to be the last time that you're going to be in Parliament?
No, not. Let me explain. I came to politics because President Mahinda Rajapaksa and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa wanted me to contest from Gampa at that time. In fact, the very words of President Mahinda Rajapaksa was, even if you don't win, doesn't matter, we want some good names in the list. But I won. Then, once you become a politician, you have a responsibility for the people who voted for. And because I couldn't fulfill that promise because our government collapsed, I decided to stand by my policies. And when the government went and the government, which you are part of, went and selected the person whom we always opposed, I stood by my principles and became an independent MP.
When you look at what transpired over the last few months, I recollect that when the country did not have money, you mentioned that you wanted a vehicle. It was on the media as well, saying that ministers have to be given proper vehicles because they have to be traveling easy. And here we are. People were suffering a lot.
Very good that you asked that question. In fact, your own channel publicized something like that. You go back and check that clip if you have played it again. I was not talking about myself. I was talking about an MP who was coming from Ampara by bus. I said, people think these MPs are getting government vehicles, they are not. And I said, these people must be looked after. And that was misinterpreted as I was asking myself. That's why I had no reason to.
Because in some countries, Dr. Godahewa, even prime ministers come by buses.
Yeah, I was referring to an MP, a professional, a doctor who left his profession and joined politics. And then the fellow didn't have money to travel by vehicle. So even today, I think, he's coming by bus to Parliament. So I was referring to him, right? I was referring to him not to get him a vehicle. I was saying a lot of people have a perception that all MPs are getting government vehicles, which is not true.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Nalaka Godahewa, Member of Parliament.